What's going on, Trash Talkers? We are back with another episode for you. Today, we are going to break down the stunning news that the New England Patriots, yes, the vaunted New England Patriots, have signed former NFL MVP and All Pro quarterback Cam Newton to a team friendly 1 year deal. We'll get into the minutiae later. On top of that, news broke that the NFL decided to punish the Patriots. About the same time that the deal broke, this news broke that the NFL was going to punish the Patriots for their mishap with the filming of the Bengals sideline with the independent film crew. We're going to get into the punishment. We're going to get into whether we think it was fair or not. And then we're also going to end today's episode by going over both Major League Baseball and NBA and kind of starting our projections of where we think everything's going to start to land. So we're going to dive right in. All that and much more coming your way right now. All right, Nick, how's it going? How's this week been, going for you?
It started out. It went from 0 to 100 real fast, starting with that news with Cam, on top of the news with the penalties, and now Robert Kraft's heading back to court, and it seems like the Patriots are in the limelight once again. Hopefully it's short lived. I don't like when they're in the limelight for these reasons.
Sure.
Um, but
Except for the Cam news.
except for the Cam news, it's interesting, and I definitely want to get into it because that was a bit of a surprise. Can't lie.
For sure. So, if you even if you live under a rock, you've heard about the Cam Newton signing with the New England Patriots. Cam Newton has signed his a 1 year deal with the Patriots. It is an incentive based deal, so he's getting a $1.05 million base salary. He is getting paid less than he got paid at Auburn, just so everybody's clear. I'm just joking. Um, but the incentives could run up to 7.5 million. So he has the ability to make an extra $6.45 million based on incentives that he agreed to in his contract, which would, obviously be great for the Patriots because that means he's meeting those expectations that they set for him. Um, the extra money for the incentives will go against the Patriots 2021 cap number instead of this year's cap number, so they don't have to worry about making space or trading people away or whatever the case is for that specific number. But the interesting portion of all this is that Cam Newton was still available on what's today, the 30th, so June 28th. June 28th, and Cam Newton's still available as a free agent. And he's not the only one. If you look at the free agents available, you have Everson Griffin, Jadeveon Clowney still sitting out there. I mean, the list goes on and on. Nick, what was your initial reaction to Cam going to New England?
It was a stunner. Obviously, I this kind of just happened out of the blue. It was Sunday night, and got the notification. But uh, to me, this means to me that Jarrett Stidham is not ready. This means that the Patriots were not. They've been communicating. They've been going over the playbook, and they've been just going through what they can while we're still in going through COVID-19. And I think from that, Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels, they've realized that Jarrett Stidham has a future as the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots, but it's going to take a little bit more time for him to develop, and they would like him to develop under somebody such as Brian Hoyer, but they also want to have somebody fill in because I don't think they see Brian Hoyer as a starter for the team, even though he will be competing for the job. They'd rather not have him actually playing. So you're going to bring in somebody who has veteran experience, who's had a lot of success in this league, and who has the potential to help your team win.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what Cam Newton is. He's a former NFL MVP. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's done a lot with very little. I actually think that he's getting a boost in weapons in New England, and that's kind of a shocker because of how much people trash talked on Edelman and Ben
Nikhil
Watson, Nikhil
Harry, and
Harry, all the Patriots um, uh, wide receivers and running backs. It was you know it, now that we have somebody like Cam in the locker room, it's another veteran who has a different perspective on things, and he's somebody who has he'll be able to help Jared Stidham in a different way than Brian Hoyer can, because Brian Hoyer is very analytical. He'll tell you exactly what he's seeing on the field. He knows exactly how to break down tape, and that's why Tom Brady loved him and kept wanting to bring him back after all these years. And so I think what Cam Newton brings additionally is he understands how to move around in the pocket. He understands how to escape, knows when to escape and how to escape, and knows how long you should be sitting in the pocket until you should start to look to tuck the ball and run. Because he's had plenty of those times where he has to he looks for his first option, his second read, they're not there, so he tucks it. He has to look for an escape route, and those are things that Brian Hoyer wouldn't be able to offer to Jarrett Stidham, and Jarrett Stidham is a pretty fast guy. He ran a 4.8 in the 4.840 in the draft. We saw it in the preseason last year. He had some pretty decent runs that he broke off. So
sure.
he is definitely different. I think he's even faster than Jimmy Garoppolo was. So it's still uncharted territory for the Patriots, and they want to make sure that Jarrett Stidham is getting all the help he can. And this also gives the Patriots time to develop an offense that fits Jarrett Stidham in both ways. He'll be able to sit in the pocket. He'll be able to scramble, and you won't have to test out these uncharted territories, these uncharted waters, with a rookie quarterback or a second year player who has no starts under his belt. You'll be able to do it with a quarterback who's been in a run heavy system, who's been in these West Coast systems where you're scrambling and you're moving out of the pocket a lot. He'll be able to help Josh McDaniels. Cam Newton will be able to help him develop this playbook into something that will help Jarrett Stidham throughout his career in New England.
Yeah, I think it also brings a lot of familiarity. I mean, they both went to Auburn, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they have that under their belt where they can at least find some common ground to be able to uh, start playing together, start getting to know each other. But overall, I mean, Cam Newton to the Patriots, like you said, it came out of left field. It wasn't, it had been rumored that this was like the best destination for both parties. Like this was a marriage made in heaven. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're right. It was a little shocking just based on the timing. Again, this happens June 28th. Everybody's pretty set on the fact that Stid the Kid is trying to lead New England into the 2020 season, and it's just one of those things where you know I'm not too sure where the team stands, and I think this is where I found myself, especially after this signing. I was under the impression that we were going to put Jarrett Stidham into the fire,
Mm-hmm.
throw him right in, and we're gonna see if he can sink or swim. If he sunk, we go get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields in New England, and that would be the end of it. If he swam, then we don't need to go that high. We don't need to get one of those guys, and we can get a top receiver, or somebody else, maybe a pass rusher in the draft or something like that. So I think that adding Cam Newton has now reprioritized where Bill Belichick sees this team. Now, people will say that uh, Belichick is not one who's ever going to just lay down and lose, and I don't think that was the plan. I don't think he ever was going to, you know, throw it or lose it. But I do think that he was willing to accept the outcome no matter what it was. With that being said, if Cam Newton's healthy, I think he throws them right back into the Super Bowl conversation. I mean, what? Because, and I'll preface it by saying this: you can't tell me if if Cam Newton isn't fully healthy, that he can't help lead this team to the playoffs. Once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. So that's where I'm saying, even the most unlikely of outcomes can still take place. We saw the Texans who took out the Titans that took out both the Patriots and the Ravens last year in the playoffs. And then, I mean, you can't tell me that the Titans are a better team than the Patriots or the Titans are a better team than the Ravens. They're just not. But they had a good style that just, for a one game season, if you will, it absolutely destroyed them and put them in a good position. I think now you're going to see that New England has kind of retooled and they're ready to make another run in the post Tom Brady era. I think there's a lot to be said for what's going to happen. I think it also puts a new challenge in front of both Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels. These guys have been running the same plays. They've been, developing the same message. They've kind of gotten into a lull, and even though they've gotten six uh, Super Bowl championships out of it, which is obviously unheralded, the fact remains that they were ready for a new challenge. Um, and I think Cam Newton is like it again. It's a match made in heaven. These guys, Cam Newton needs somebody to help reinvigorate his career. I think New England's the perfect place to do that because they have the structure in place. They have a winning mentality, a winning culture. They have a defense around him. They can play, ball control a lot. And now it's going to serve as, a team like Kansas City. They can't just rush the middle of the offensive line and go after a stoic Tom Brady or Baltimore who always gave Tom Brady problems. Because they swarmed him, right? They surrounded him. Now you have to take into account that New England's quarterback can move outside of the pocket and he is a threat. And if that arm is back to where it was, or even if it's at 90%, 85%, something along those lines, boy, watch out because at 100% he was an NFL MVP. I'm more than willing to take a 90% Cam Newton at that point.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest selling points from me getting on board with Cam Newton is really looking at, and I alluded to this before, looking at what he did in that 2015 season. They went 15-1 in the regular season, and they made it all the way to the Super Bowl. He was the MVP when one of his starting wide receivers was Jericho Cotchery. It just he
At
didn't
the end of his
at
career,
the
not
end of his
not,
career.
not Jets Jericho
Yeah,
Cotchery, not long time. Yeah,
this is somebody who's done a lot with very little, and now you're coming to a Patriots team where they just signed Demir Bird earlier this offseason, a former Panther that he used to play with for 3 years. And then earlier this offseason, Cam Newton was throwing passes with Mohamed Sanu, so they've already started to build that chemistry before they knew this was a thing. So there are strong relations right there on the offensive side of the ball, which are great. Now, Cam Newton's not going to be like Tom Brady complaining about not having veteran top tier elite weapons. He's going to take what he has and do what he can with it. He's going to give everybody a fair shake. He's not going to avoid rookies because they're rookies and he doesn't trust them. He's going to go into this with an open mind, and he's playing with a bigger chip on his shoulder than Tom Brady ever did. Tom Brady wants to talk about, oh, I was picked, 199th overall in the draft, and there were 6 quarterbacks taken before me. I'm going to hold that grudge for 20 plus years. Well, Cam Newton has been healthy pretty much for the last year, and the Panthers wanted to set him out, and he wanted to stay in Carolina. They wanted to move on from him. He's pissed. He wants to show that he still has it. He wants to prove to the Panthers that you're losing out on a great thing, and good luck with your future. But I'm gonna prove myself to everybody else that I am still one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. And I think this is a perfect system, especially with Josh McDaniels. We saw what he did with Tim Tebow in Denver. He was able to design some plays there. I'm sure he'll be looking at those old plays to see how he can improve on those in this new system. And I think that all the mix of Cam Newton with the chip on his shoulder, knowing how to play with very little weapons, on top with Josh McDaniels' mindset and his ability to create great plays, and Bill Belichick to manage the entire situation. I think it's a great situation. I think it's going to work perfectly in New England. I think this is the perfect reboot that they were looking for, and I'm really looking forward to the future. I think the future is bright in New England, and I wouldn't be surprised if this goes longer than a year. I think this is something that, no one, like you said, this it's June 30th. We just learned the news a couple days ago, and it, no one was willing to take a chance on him. Even these lower tier teams, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Oakland Raiders, these are all teams that struggled at the quarterback position last year and are looking and have been looking for a new option. They didn't want to pull the trigger on him, and he's going to look at the Patriots as, hey, you were the ones willing to give me a fair shake when no one else was, and I'm gonna, if this all works out, I'd be willing to stick around here for the foreseeable future. So this is as good of an outcome as you can ask for after the Tom Brady era has ended.
For
I I,
sure.
I
And
and I'd rather take the risk on Cam Newton than risk it on somebody like Trevor Wallace, or Justin Fields.
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, sorry.
Trevor Wallace is a good pick.
um, but I think part of the reason is you don't we've seen Sam Darnold, and all these other young quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, who
Josh
have
Allen. Yeah.
Josh, yeah, well, they've struggled early in their career. It doesn't have to be their first year, it could be their second year, it could be their third year. They continue to struggle, and you see that their futures might be cut short because have been struggling since the beginning, and they have not been able to find their footing. And so now you want to make sure Jarrett Stidham is perfectly set. You want him to be all ready to go when it's time for him to lead this team. You don't want to put him in this situation where it's a prove it or lose it, and he might he might have all the tools, and I think that's what Bill Belichick sees. He sees that he has the tools. This guy can be the future of the team. He just needs some extra time, and I think this is just a perfect situation. I think the Patriots are winning in every aspect. This could work out. Cam could be the starter and bring a lot of victories to New England, and stick with the team for a few more years, or it doesn't work out. Jared Stidham learns a lot and becomes the starter as a third year player. There's so much upside for the Patriots and Cam Newton. I think this is a win-win situation all around.
Yeah, I don't see a loss here. The only way it becomes a loss is that if Cam Newton's good enough to play them into an 8-8 season and they lose out on one of those guys, and Jared Stidham still isn't the guy. If Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence are gone by the time the Patriots are able to pick, but they were only able to go, say, 8-8, 9-7, 7-9, in that realm. Um, yeah, it's incredible. And just to put things into perspective, right? We're talking about a former NFL MVP. Now, you know, haters of Cam Newton, haters of the Patriots, which there are plenty of, are going to do their very best to make sure that they poo-poo this entire uh, you know deal and everything that's going on. I just want to read this to you. Uh, 13 months ago, Nick Foles signed an NFL's largest contract for the 2019 free agency, $88 million over 4 years. Nick Foles signed for $88 million over 4 years. You know what the average of that is? That's $22 million per year. You know what Cam Newton's getting? $1 million with the incentives to lead him up to 7.5. That's it.
Yeah.
You're talking about Nick Foles versus Cam Newton. This is why Bill Belichick is playing chess when everybody else is playing Go Fish. Because there is no shot that anybody else is on the same level as Bill Belichick. He got a steal for a former NFL MVP, for a Super Bowl caliber player. Just to reiterate who Cam Newton is, he's 6'5". He weighs 245 pounds. He's got 10 years in the league. And, oh, by the way, he did happen to go 15-1. He's never had a season with more than 17 interceptions, which was his rookie year. He's never even hit that mark again. I believe the next was 16, and then 13 under that. I mean, this guy, he knows how to take care of the ball. The only thing he needs to work on is his footwork inside the pocket and taking less big hits. And I know Josh McDaniels can work on him not taking as many big hits, especially with the offensive line that New England is touting. You're talking about, well, Tom Brady struggled with that O line last year. Yeah, two tackles were severely hurt throughout the entire year. The left guard position was the only stable spot on the entire roster. Shaq Mason at right guard was in and out of the lineup. David Andrews was gone all year because he had a medical issue that he needed to take care of. I mean, the whole offensive line has been brought back together. They're fully healthy. N'Keal Harry has a year under his belt. Don't forget about this little guy named Julian Edelman, who is probably one of, if not the best slot receivers in NFL history. And then you have the running back room that I don't think there's a better running back room in the NFL. You can challenge me on that, but just because when you look at Saquon Barkley or Ezekiel Elliott or Christian McCaffrey, those are one guy, right? You peg that one guy, but what happens when you have James White, Rex Burkhead, and Sony Michel, and all these guys that you can just take in play after play after play? These guys aren't getting tired, and that's how New England is able to beat you. So you're adding a quarterback that can run and throw the ball. You're adding running a constant state of fresh running backs. You have a system of two brand new tight ends, um, some young receivers, and one of the best slot receivers that you can find. You've retooled some of the deep threats. Mohamed Sanu is looking like a stud these days. I don't know if you've seen anything that he's posted all over social media, but
Hmm.
he is working on his footwork. He's working on his route running. He's working on his ball skills. He is out there more than I've seen almost anybody else, really. Uh, these guys, I think all of New England has a chip on their shoulder. They have heard the rhetoric over the last year or so about how New England has no offensive weapons and that they can't do anything on offense. And even the great Tom Brady couldn't live up to his own lofty standards because of the fact that he had nobody around him. It's
Yeah.
not going to be the same. I can guarantee you that. I can absolutely guarantee you that. And you're talking about reinvigorating somebody. Like I said before, Josh McDaniels is extremely excited to have somebody, excuse me, who can run the ball and have designed plays around them. The last time he had that was Jacoby Brissett, who had a 37-yard rushing touchdown off of a bootleg pass that he set up for him. It literally wide open for him. I just what I'm willing to go out and see. I'm so excited for what New England has as a Patriots fan, of course. Now, I the Patriots will get. I think this, as long as this works out and Cam stays healthy, the Patriots will get to the playoffs. I think we can both agree on that.
It's the thing is, you still have to take into account they have the hardest schedule still. They still have to go through the best teams in the league. So that's definitely going to be a challenge.
For sure.
And the Bills are an extremely strong team. Don't forget, Stephon Diggs is there now.
Yep.
Josh Allen has another year in the system. So does John Brown in that system.
But
Um,
yeah, because like the Patriots may have the worst schedule or the hardest schedule. The Bills have the fifth hardest schedule. They're in the same division as
right.
us. They're
Yeah.
facing the number two team throughout the AFC. I mean, they're not allowed to just get walk just
I'm just
walk.
saying it's going to be tough for them to win the division. That's for sure. It's going to be. I think they're going to be vying for the AFC East championship, for the divisional championship, but I think they'll also be playing for one of the wild card spots.
Yeah, I think they'll make the
They're
playoffs.
not guaranteed anything. They Even though Cam's there and everything is looking great right now, they're not guaranteed anything. This could still go sour, and it could just
I
nothing
had
works out for anybody.
a modest 4-12 before the Cam Newton signing. 4-12. hardest schedule, second-year quarterback whose only NFL experience was a pick six to Jamal Adams. I mean, essentially, I was ready for the rebuild, and then Cam Newton has just reinvigorated the competitive spirit within my fandom and my fanhood, and I understand that now. The ugly New England Patriots are back at it again. I mean, people in Pittsburgh are crying in the streets because they thought the big bad wolf of New England had died. They thought they had slain
Well,
the dragon.
yeah, and that's an interesting thing. I don't understand how Steelers fans can get upset that the Patriots now have a solid quarterback again, when you still have to go through Baltimore and Kansas City, which are much
Cleveland.
taller. Much No, I'm talking about in the AFC in general.
Oh, well, they still have Cleveland in their division. I mean,
And Cleveland. You have all these tests are much taller than the Patriots are. So I don't know what you're worrying about with us. But now, I mean, I guess we could take away another wild card spot. That's the potential. They don't win
well,
because they're not guaranteed the win in their division, and so they'd be vying for a wild card spot. And now this might be one less spot that is available. And
who are the teams that could easily or could possibly make the playoffs in the AFC? You're looking at
Kansas
the
City,
Thunder.
Baltimore.
Well, Kansas City, Baltimore, the Chargers.
Hmm.
You're looking at Buffalo, now New England, Miami. That's six right there. And you haven't even talked about the South, right? We haven't even touched on the
The
Titans or the
Colts.
Texans.
The
I mean,
Colts are much better. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's so many that the entire landscape is now changing now that Cam Newton has come aboard because one of the things that people bring up is that Bill Belichick likes to sign offensive players that he struggles scheming against. If you look at some of the games that Cam Newton has had against the Patriots, he has absolutely slaughtered them on the stat sheet. I mean, it's just been unreal. I was at one of those games, and I didn't even want to open my eyes at one point. I was watching Cam Newton literally just bomb the football wherever he wanted, scramble out of the pocket, couldn't get touched. I mean, I've seen this man live. I know what he can do on a football field. I've seen him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots are 0-2 against Cam Newton, and the saying goes, if you can't beat him, join him. Well, you can't join him, but he can join you. So
That's
there
right.
you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, and people want to talk bad about Cam Newton, but what is there to talk about, right? He had foot surgery, he had shoulder surgery, he has no off-field issues. The only character issue, if you want to even say that, was when he made an off-color comment about a female reporter when he said, she was talking about routes. And it was just funny to him. Like that's the if you're gonna scold him for that, I
Yeah.
mean, I can tell you some dumb shit that's been said by NFL players if you really wanted to go down the line.
Yeah,
So
that's nothing.
overall, I think Cam Newton is perfect fit for New England. Bill Belichick will let you do whatever the hell you want as long as you're winning football games. He doesn't care. Can't You know who's the perfect example of that? Rob Gronkowski, who used to go out to bars and parties and drink and go do whatever the hell he wanted as long as he was at practice and he was helping the football team win games. Bill Belichick didn't give a damn about what he was doing, but if it started to impede his progress on the field, then it became an issue. Cam Newton hasn't let those off field anything in the off field be impede his progress. So overall, I think, like I said, this is a win-win situation for both New England and Cam Newton. I'm very excited, and now I think we're going to really put the pedal to the metal. And I mean, I'm just saying, Cam Newton and the New England Patriots versus Tom Brady and the Buccaneers for the Super Bowl has a nice ring to it. I'm just gonna throw that out.
Now, this might be a giveaway, but I know one question I wanted to ask was: would you rather have Cam Newton at $1 million or Tom Brady at $25 million?
Um,
Because you get Tom. Yeah, because to,
Cam.
you rather have Cam.
And the only reason is because of the clear divide that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have had in the last couple of years, the growing separation that they've had between the two of them. I think it's just a refreshing change. Cam Newton brings a completely different I don't want to say sentiment, but he can do so many different things on the football field. It's just a change, and
Mhm.
sometimes you just need a change. As hard as it is, I love Tom Brady. He will forever be my favorite quarterback of all time. He is the greatest quarterback of all time, hands down. Um, there's I just for me personally, I'd rather have the $1 million Cam Newton incentive deal, with the possibility of retaining him for the next 4 to 5 plus years.
Hmm. Yeah, part of me, I do like that, but I think a bigger part of me would like to see Tom Brady just finish his career in New England. I think, winning aside, he's brought us so many wins. I don't really care about that as much as I'd rather just see him play his entire tenure in New England, and I think that resonates with me a little bit more than having Cam at a cheaper deal. Uh,
I mean, for me personally, just to answer that, I just don't. I'm at this point, I've accepted that Brady is gone. And, even if I could go back and change it with where things are now, I don't think I would, just because I've already come to the acceptance that this has happened and
mhm.
this is what's meant to be. And, again, sometimes you just need a refreshing change. At some point, the Patriots were going to have to move on from Brady, whether he retired or, he went to another team, or whatever the case was, right? This is just how it happened, and right now I'm happy with where the team is, and I wouldn't want to go back and change all of that. And then you talk about the $25 million. Well, Patriots have $650,000 in cap space right now. So you tell me where that $25 million is coming from, because I mean, at this point, you're saying goodbye to Joe Tooney, you're saying goodbye to Mohamed Sanu, like you're getting rid of a lot of good Jason McCourty, Devin McCourty, they're gone. Like, you're getting rid of a lot of pieces at that point just to keep Tom Brady. I'd rather have the Cam Newton on the $1 million deal.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense from a business standpoint, definitely. But from a sentimental standpoint, it would be nice to have Tom Brady for the next 2 years until he retires.
And that's
Uh,
why Belichick is the greatest at what he does, because he
uh-huh.
doesn't let personal feelings get in the way of doing business. He just does it. I'm sure on a personal level, him and Tom Brady are very close friends. I'm sure they are. You have to be to work with somebody for 20 years as intimately as a head coach and quarterback have to, right?
Mhm.
You have to be friends with them. You can't, like, there's just no way around it.
Right. Mhm.
With Tom Brady, I think he needed a break, and I think Bill needed a break, and I think professionally this is the best situation that he could have put himself in.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you wouldn't see Bill O'Brien making the deal like this, that's for sure. Uh,
Bill O'Brien would have signed Cam Newton. If he signed Cam Newton, he would have signed him to a 4 year, $120 million deal, and then probably traded him for a conditional seventh round pick.
yeah, that sounds about right. Um, yeah, I definitely want to get to quickly because this is a lot of nonsense. But I want to get to the Patriots getting in trouble, the backlash or the
Bullshit.
outcome of the videotaping scandal in Cincinnati, excuse me, where the Kraft Productions independent contractor was caught filming the sideline while they were trying to do a video film on the advanced scout for the Patriots, and just to get an in-depth look at what he does, how he does his job. And what the advanced scout does is he's going to go to the game, the team that they're going to play next week, and he's going to watch their game and dissect and scout exactly them, to go back to Bill Belichick and the rest of the team and
And they can
say,
take video. They're allowed to take video of the play, but at one point the camera like panned over not just the Bengal sideline, both sidelines, as just
mhm.
like a because it was an independent video team, and they were like, this will make good video content.
Yeah, it was just like one of those scenes where you have you a voiceover, and it's just it was just some extra film. It wasn't, they're not looking to do anything with it. And Bill Belichick didn't get in trouble, obviously. Like, he had nothing to do with this. This was
He didn't
complete.
even know what was happening.
No, exactly. This had nothing to do with the organization. It was a completely separate entity that's working on this project, and this was a contractor that didn't even technically work for Kraft Productions. So it was somebody out of left field who didn't understand the rules of what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. But the I don't know. Can you break down the results and what the Patriots got penalized for?
Yeah, so the NFL came down with the punishment. This is what they've decided: a $1.1 million fine for the New England Patriots organization, loss of a third round 2021 pick. Kraft Productions cannot film during the 2020 season, and a lifetime ban pending further investigation for the independent contractor that was working. So basically, a non-employee, somebody who doesn't work for the Patriots or Kraft Productions, um, has a lifetime ban in for not for the stadiums. He can still go to football games. He just can't be up in the booth. He can't be part of any productions at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh,
He's also been fired already from the Kraft Productions and wherever wherever he was contracted from.
yeah, they
He's
terminated
been
his
he's been
contract.
terminated. Right.
Right. Um, that being said, uh, do you think this was fair? Do you think the punishment for the crime?
You know what? I could care less about the $1.1 million. Robert Kraft's got a lot of those lying around. All it really comes down to is this third round pick. That's the only major impact to the organization. That is completely ridiculous. I don't know how you're going to get a third round pick out of something that no one saw the film. This was it was just an accident. Like, it wasn't done intentionally. You didn't penalize anybody else in the organization or any other anybody from Kraft Productions.
Well, part of their investigation, now I don't mean to cut you up, but part of their investigation, the NFL's, was that they said in their report that they found no intent of this film being shared with the team or the coaching staff or any. It was completely separate side of the house of Kraft Productions and everything that goes under the house of Robert Kraft. Like, Robert Kraft owns the Patriots, he also owns the New England Revolution and Kraft Productions and everything else that he owns. Right,
Mm-hmm.
completely separate. Like, they were never going to coincide, and I think that's where I struggle with this. But continue with what you were saying.
Yeah, so taking away a third round pick for something that there was no one was impacted, no other organization was impacted by what happened. It was dealt with right away. Um, it just seems ludicrous to think that one of the top 100 picks was taken away from you because of an accident. And that's just ridiculous, because how many third round picks have gone on to be Pro Bowlers, to be Hall of Famers, to actually do something for their team? A lot. There's a good amount of players. That's a highly regarded pick that was taken away from the Patriots. And I just think there's no way you can penalize the organization in this capacity for the crime that was done. It doesn't add up, and I just don't see where the NFL and their committees are coming up with these results. So how they're going to come down with this penalty. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if you can make sense of it, but
Yeah, I can make sense of it. You want to hear it? Roger Goodell's a fucking moron.
well, I mean, it
That
doesn't. We have to be fair. It doesn't even. He's not the one who's coming down with the penalty. It's
he
it.
oversees the NFL. It's that.
He's
As
not going to interfere with it, though. I'm not going to fault him too much on it,
I
because
will.
it's not his doing. He just has to sign off on it, and he's not going to go against it. He's not going to fight for the Patriots. You know, he's not.
You want to know why I think he's a fucking moron? Here it is. I'm reading this right now. These were the sanctions given out for Bountygate. If you don't remember, back in 2009, the New Orleans Saints put out bounties on NFL quarterback Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre, right? They paid their players to go out and hurt the man. Okay, we're talking about a video production crew filming the sideline, Bountygate. Okay, let's put this into perspective. Patriots were fined $1.1 million. The Saints were fined $500,000. You're telling me the video crew incident is more than double as egregious as what the Saints were doing on the field? Get the fuck out of here, man. There is no shot that anybody can tell me or help me make sense of the fact that you know what? They were cheating. But, the football side of the house was never going to see this, but obviously, we have to punish them. That they got punished based off of their own record with Spygate back in 2007 and Deflategate back in 2014. This is just another instance of them taking a shot at the Patriots and the reputation of the New England Patriots taking another just hit by the league and saying, you know what, we're going to punish you for the total of everything that happened and not just the one instance. So that's where I believe like the 1.1 is just egregious. I understand Robert Kraft can pay it, right? It's not about the ability to give that up. It's the whole point in which that was part of the punishment. It doesn't make sense. Nobody can tell me that it makes sense. Change my mind. Call me Steven Crowder, because this you got to change my mind at this point. There's no shot that $1.1 million should be coming from the New England Patriots. With that being said, the 3rd round pick, are you kidding me? There's no shot that there should be in the report it already talked about how the football side of productions was never going to see this film, but you're now docking the football team instead of just Kraft himself. This is where I don't understand what the hell is going on in that NFL office. They clearly have a vendetta against the New England Patriots. They clearly don't like Robert Kraft or Bill Belichick or anything that happens up here. They're probably upset. They're probably Jets fans who just cry all the time. And I just can't imagine what the hell is going on in that office. The fact remains is that they are overstepping their bounds on a consistent basis, and they are not being held in check because the other 30 NFL owners are okay with the New England Patriots taking the hits for everything that the league has to go through. You know how many people remembered this investigation was happening? 0.
I mean, I did. Yeah, I mean, I brought
actively thought about this.
I brought it up a couple times over the last few months just because it hasn't been talked about. And I was like, hey, you remember that thing that happened? Yeah, no one's talking about that. It seems like it died and fizzled out. And it seemed like that's what the NFL was looking for. They were looking for the COVID-19 scapegoat, the protest scapegoat, all these different events that are going on to mask what happened, because nothing did happen. So there's nothing to deal with, and fans are going to forget about this, and we're going to be able to move on. But out of nowhere...
remembers. That's for damn sure. Okay, so, I mean, obviously I'm appalled that this all happened. But you know who doesn't give a shit? A single person. You know why they don't care? Because as soon as this news broke, Wombo combo, Cam Newton signed to the Patriots. Like, literally one right back after the other. It's like the Patriots were like holding on to this apple of information, and they were like, I'm only gonna bite it when I need it. It's a magical apple. And then all of a sudden the punishment comes down, they're like, Cam Newton signed to the New England Patriots. Talk about that. First Take and Skip and Shannon and everybody else who wants to talk.
Yeah, I mean, even still, no one cares about the penalty. No one. It's not.
I saw Stephen A. bring it up today on First Take, and they did like a 4-minute segment on it. And Dominique Foxworth did his thing about hating the Patriots, and that was it. It was over. It was over and done with. Nobody gives a damn anymore. NFL Network hasn't covered it all that much. It's just at this point they don't care. The bigger story is Cam Newton, and listen, the PR team for the Patriots, great job on announcing that when you did, because you just took away all of the firepower of the punishment. It's going to get swept under the rug. You're going to pay your fine. You're not going to deal with it, and that'll be the end of it. The next time somebody thinks of it, it'll be in the 2021 draft in the third round when they're like, "Why isn't New England picking?" Oh yeah, because of that punishment. What was that for again? Nobody knows. Okay, let's move on. That'll be
Well,
how it goes.
well, I mean, in typical New England fashion, they tend to uh, go great lengths to correct these wrongful punishments. Do you think the Patriots will move ahead and try to get the penalties lessened or revoked completely?
I'm gonna take a page out of my friend Des Bryant's book. Throw up that X and say absolutely not. Don't go near it. Don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Your PR team did exactly what they needed to. They fought off the evil ward of the punishment coming out and people being able to react to it. They basically threw water on the flame, and that, you now you just accept it and you don't do, like, you just stay out of it. There's no
Yeah, part of me agrees with that. Part of me says, hey, just accept it and move on. You don't want to deal with this as a Patriot thing. You're tired of hearing scandal, 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 and penalty after penalty, and when is it actually going to take place? So part of me wants to just accept it, but part of me, as a competitor and not accepting these wrongful actions, I want to fight it. I want to get the right result, and I feel like this is a very winnable case for the Patriots, where they're not going to get no punishment, but they can reduce that $1.1 million. They can turn that third round pick into a fifth or a sixth. It can be.
I don't think so. That's the thing. I think because of the lengths that the investigation went to and how long it took for them to.
Well, that's their fault. That's not on the Patriots.
But what they're going to cite some stupid bylaws that the commissioner's office has, where he can impose the punishment he deserves, and even if they go through the entire process to go over it and to try to rectify the punishment, they're probably just going to come back and be like, the commissioner has the right, they're going to uphold it, and that'll be the end of it, and we're not going to like that. And but what you're doing is you're adding more fuel to the fire when the fire is basically just a small little ember at this point. Let the thing die out. Let it live. It lived it a short life. Let's leave it alone. Let's move on. I'm ready to move on to the Cam Newton side of football, and that's really where I want to stick around for that. I don't want to deal with this nonsense anymore. I really don't. And F you, Zach Taylor, and whoever else had to deal with this shit. I'm coming for you, just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, one of the first things I saw when we signed Cam was, hey, if Cam does great and moves on to another team after that, Patriots are going to get a third round compensatory pick in 2022. So
Right.
all you have to do, you're pretty much trading that third round pick next year into a third round pick the year after. So
Right.
it kind of works out. You're paying $1 million for that third round pick.
2 million. A million plus the contract million.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So,
So
in
it
money, Cam Newton's making less than the $1 million fine that they have to pay.
yeah, that's actually pretty crazy. And then another tidbit I actually saw about the Patriots and Cam Newton. I should have mentioned this before, but all three quarterbacks for the Patriots right now, the top three quarterbacks, Cam Newton, Jared Stidham, Brian Hoyer, making total $9 million this season. That is less than 19 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. They're paying three quarterbacks less than 19 quarterbacks are making this season, and that includes Mitchell Trubisky.
Mitchell Trubisky, who's backing up Nick Foles. I mean,
Yeah,
talk about an organization that just can't ever get it right. The Patriots get Cam Newton at $1.05 million base salary. They're paying Mitchell Trubisky his first round rookie contract, and they're paying Nick Foles his insane contract that Jacksonville signed him to. So it's
yeah,
holy
and
shit, man.
now if Cam Newton doesn't reach any of incentives this season, he will be ranked as the 55th highest ranked paid quarterback in the league. He'll be tied with a third string quarterback for the Giants. I can't remember his name because no one knows who he
I
is.
think you have it as Alex Tanney.
Alex Tanney. Yeah. So Cam Newton
And
would be
one
paid.
spot ahead of Cam Newton, it would be Mason Rudolph, the egg
the
shaped, the dented head himself,
yeah, it's got a large chunk taken out of the side of his head.
kind of like Tim the Tatman.
Thank you, Miles Garrett.
All right, I think that's pretty much where it is. You guys know where we stand. Obviously, I rep the red, white, and blue up here in New England. Love it.
I do too. I just still in a hotel, can't do much about that.
All right, let's get back to some of the things that we talked about the last couple of weeks. Baseball is back. Basketball is back. We're getting ready to start up slash restart, right? Let's start with baseball first. I want your expectations. Who do you believe? Who are your division winners? And you don't have to give a full description of like everyone. Just tell me who you have winning each of the 6 divisions.
This is gonna be tough. I mean, I'm gonna go with the Yankees, right off the bat for the AL East. Um,
How about the AL Central? You got the Twins, the Indians, the White
yeah.
Sox, the Royals, and
I think it's the Twins. I don't think there's anybody getting in their way.
the
Uh,
Indians could yeah. Okay, and then the AL West.
uh, jeez.
Probably that shit team down in Texas.
Uh, yeah, I don't want to say it, but who can get in Houston's way? They're still a dominant team.
Oakland or the Angels.
I mean, hey, maybe they are garbage without the hitting a trash can. You know, maybe that's their. It's I don't know if you remember in the WWE, but there used to be this guy named Festus who would come alive when the bell rang, and it's like when you bang that trash can, that's when the Astros come alive.
Ah! Where the hell did that come? All right, and let's move to the NL. So the NL East, who do you got coming out of there? Braves, Nationals, Mets, Phillies, and Marlins.
I mean, we just went over the Mets roster. It looks pretty solid. I think in a shortened season, I think with their pitching rotation, I think they can do pretty well. So
One of the best things I've seen on social media to date is a picture of the Mets, all the Mets like partying it up and doing their thing, and it's like you can't fall apart in June if the season starts in July. You see on social media. But I mean, it's a tough division, man. You got the Braves who won it last year, won the division, and then the Nationals who won the World Series. I mean, it's just there's so much competition there. All right, how about the Central? The Cardinals, the Brewers, the Cubs, the Reds, and the Pirates.
Oh, wow. Probably the Brewers. I think that the Brewers they've been pretty good the last couple of years.
They were only 2 games off of winning the division last year. So.
See, the thing is, it's hard because you need to really look at how these teams had performed over the in the first half of the season, the last couple of years, to really get an idea of how they're going to play. Because they're coming off of a raw start, and you have to think of how they're going to play at the beginning of the season, how they're going to play 2 weeks into it, 4 weeks into it, 8 weeks into it, and so
every game matters now in baseball, where it didn't.
And I don't know about this for all teams, but I saw they did it for the AL East, where they took their records from the last 2 seasons over 60 games, and they averaged them, and so the Yankees were like 39.5 and 20.5, and then the Red Sox were like 36.5 and 22.5, right around there. So what you're looking at is the high teams are going to be around 40 and 20. The middle teams are probably going to be around 30, 35 teams, 30, 35 wins. And then, anything below that is just not going to cut it.
Right, they're not competing.
So you've got about 20 games. You got about a third of the season that you can lose, but that's all you're really granted. You can't, that you can't go past that.
And then let's just finish it off with the last one. Who do you think is coming out of the NL West?
Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I don't think there's another
Yeah.
team conversation, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they got Mookie Betts now, so they can go super far, you know.
But they got David Price, so that's gonna,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you. I got the Yankees winning the East. I got the Twins in the Central. Go Trevor May. Um, Unfortunately, I got the trash can of an organization, the Houston Astros, coming out of the West, and then I have the Mets coming out of the East, the Brewers coming out of the Central, and the Dodgers out of the West. So I think we're 100% on that, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, who do you think makes it into the wild card spots? The two wild card spots.
Yeah. The Nationals so for the AL, I'd go with the Nationals.
NL.
Uh, I'm sorry. Um, Nationals and I don't know.
You
This
got the Braves, you got the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Diamondbacks,
there's a lot of like
Phillies.
teams that
Don't
are
forget
right
about
on top of each
the
other.
Phillies. Phillies are going to be kind of nasty. Yeah, the NL East is, I think, the strongest division
Yeah.
going into the baseball season this year. You got the Braves, the Nationals, the Mets, and the Phillies, who are all just going to bludgeon the hell out of each
If
other.
I had to
And then you
choose
have
one,
the Cardinals, who are just
I'd
crushing
probably yeah I'll double down. I'll go Braves and Nationals for the NL wild card.
it. So you think the Phillies miss it again?
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. All right, and how about the American League?
Um, Part of me thinks that the Angels could do something.
Fuck those
Um,
Angels.
but I feel like they're always a letdown. I think that they can start out strong, and I think that that's going to help them because of the shortened season. You don't need to perform well for an extended period of time. You've got to do well for 60 games, which is roughly 60 days. You just need to keep those the momentum on your side. So I'm gonna go with the Angels and um, the Rays. I think I'll go with the Rays.
Yeah, I'm with you on one of them. I think, or for the American League at least, I'm with you on the Angels, and I
Really?
like the Angels. I like the Angels. They're my second favorite baseball team. The second team that I have in the as a wild card team is the Cleveland Indians. I think they can make a lot of noise. I
Mm-hmm.
think the AL Central and the NL Central that they'll have to face are really easy. I think they're going to be gifted a lot of wins, and that's the thing is that it's a little tough, right? Because teams coming out of the AL East have to face the NL East, which we just talked about being the strongest uh, division in baseball,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they're gonna have a tough time. So it'll be troublesome for the Rays to get out of there. That I think the Indians have an easier path to getting a wild card selection, and then the Angels out in the West. I mean, the NL West is pretty. Besides the Dodgers, is pretty simple. The Diamondbacks can make some noise, but I don't expect them to. And then you have the AL West. Besides the Astros, you have the Athletics, the Rangers, and the Mariners. So I think the Angels can make some noise there too. So it'll be interesting. And then in the National League, um, I have more teams coming out of the East as well. I have both the Phillies and I have the Braves coming out. I think I have the Nationals missing the playoffs. So
Interesting. Okay.
it's just I think that the NL East is just so strong,
Mm-hmm.
and we're bound to see a team kind of lose it a little bit. I just think with the Nationals, I think they were riding so high that at the like they have a lot of targets on their back at this point, and teams are gonna really target them to move forward.
Right.
So, um, all right, who do you have winning the pennant for each side? And then
I mean, I'm gonna go with the Yankees obviously for the AL. They're gonna win the pennant. I think that it'll probably be I guess it'd be Houston and the Yankees back at it again. But I think the pitching for the Yankees is stronger than it was last year. Their bats are going to be fully healthy. We'll see how long Giancarlo can last for. Um, so I'm going to give the edge to the Yankees in that one.
Sure.
For the NL, um, I mean, I'm gonna pick the Dodgers to win it. I don't know who they're gonna face, but I think the Dodgers are just too strong. I think
I
their
think
team is just
NL East team with the Dodgers. One of those teams that you said from the NL East, I think, will fill that spot.
yeah.
That you're
Yeah, I'm not. I couldn't even guess who could take that spot, but I don't think it's gonna matter. The Dodgers have put together an extremely strong team. I think they're finally gonna. I mean, I don't think. I don't know. I think they're gonna win it. I think they're gonna win the pennant, and they're gonna make it to the World Series. And moving forward for the World Series, I'm obviously going to take the Yankees. That's a homer pick, but I also think the Yankees are a better unit than the Dodgers are. They're a bunch of pieces that were taken and are just glued together, and I don't know if it's actually gonna work out. I know baseball's pretty much an individual sport anyway, so it doesn't matter as much. But you still need some chemistry to make it all work. Put it all together.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty much on point. Again, I think the Dodgers will face one of those NL East teams that I talked about. I don't think it'll be the Mets. I don't think they'll make it that far, but I do believe maybe the Braves or the Phillies can start making some noise over there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the Dodgers win, go to the World Series. I think the Yankees versus the I'm gonna say the Twins. I like the Twins. I love what they've done with their roster. Um, I think the Yankees will beat the Twins to go to the World Series. Um, and this isn't because I don't like the Yankees. I do think the Dodgers will win. I just think that they have built a juggernaut of an organization. I mean, when your rotation starts off with Clayton Kershaw and goes to David Price, and you've had you got some studs in the rotation, and then obviously they have an insane bullpen,
Mm-hmm.
good closer. And then 1 through 9, I've said it before, I'll say it again. 1 through 9, they have the best lineup in baseball for this specific year. I mean, adding Mookie Betts, you literally added an MVP caliber player to your roster, and you talk about some cohesion between the players or some chemistry. I don't think that's going to matter as much. Again, with baseball, and you've played baseball, so you understand. If you join a team, as long as you guys get along, you're fine. And I don't think there's enough time for them to not get along. Like
Right.
I think plenty of time and or plenty of opportunity for them to grow into their own. And the Dodgers have been knocking on the door of championship for a while. They face
I mean,
the
so have the Yankees, but some cheaters have been standing in their way.
I mean, the Yankees are cheaters themselves, and
They're
we'll get to
not. They're
it.
not.
But the fact remains is that the Dodgers have been there, and then they added some stud pieces to get them over the hump. I think that they're ready to just bust the door down and take it home for sure.
All right. I mean, you know, if it comes down to the Dodgers and Yankees in the World Series, you best believe we're gonna be putting some type of wager up for that. Uh, I don't know what it would be, but there's gonna be a fun bet.
Sure.
That,
Yeah,
that
I'm down. Skip and Shannon do cases of Mountain Dew. I'm down to do something like that for sure.
I mean, I think we're close enough right now where we could probably we could figure out something a little bit more interesting.
Probably.
Maybe make a video out of it. Do a
Okay.
do a little special thing. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We got a couple months before we
Why don't
see
you
the
guys let
results.
us know what you'd like to see us wager if it gets to a Dodgers Yankees World Series. Uh, all right, that's for baseball. Baseball is going to be restarting, starting for the first time this year. Um, they have 60 games that they're going to play, and
3 weeks
yep,
away.
they're hoping they're hoping for the best. It looks like teams are going to be reporting tomorrow actually. So
Yep, they report tomorrow, and then 3 weeks from then we'll be kicking off the first game.
it's crazy how just 2 weeks ago we were saying baseball may be gone for good, and now we're talking about
It's
3 weeks away.
crazy.
Um, all right, let's move on to the NBA.
Let's try to speed this up.
Yeah, this
Think.
is it. So the NBA, the who do you have? You know, we already went through who we think is going to be playing
Yep.
for the eighth seed,
I'll,
and
I'll I'll just break down my conference finals for
yeah,
each. So I think it's gonna be the Bucks Celtics in the Eastern Conference, and I think it's gonna be a battle of LA, in well, Clippers Lakers in the
we're both
West.
we're both on board with that. Okay,
Yeah.
good, done. All right, so who do you think's winning?
I'm gonna take Bucks Lakers.
Bucks Lakers. Interesting. Um, I'm literally going the complete opposite way. I'm going
Mm,
Celtics Clippers.
well, that'd be interesting. I think either way, I think that'd be really interesting.
I think any combination. I mean, Celtics Lakers.
Can we? I really want to see I really want to see LeBron Giannis though. Through
Yeah, that'd be cool. But I mean, R.I.P. Kobe, right? I'd love to see a Celtics Lakers in his honor.
that
Honestly, I would.
that would be fantastic.
That would be because were some of the best finals I've ever watched. Were Celtics Lakers finals.
That's how.
With
Yeah.
three and everything that happened. Yeah, it just I would
That
love to
that
see
that would be worth the hiatus, the NBA hiatus, just to
for
see
sure.
that. Absolutely.
For sure, especially and obviously the connection of Jason Tatum to Kobe Bryant, who he was
Right.
to Jason Tatum, and
Hmm.
for those of you who haven't seen, if you check out Jason Tatum's Instagram, he did recently get a French bulldog that he named Bean after Kobe Bean Bryant, his mentor, his close friend, somebody he looked up to and idolized. So
Hmm.
I just think that would be incredible. So in your matchup, you had Bucks Lakers. Who do you think's coming out on top? Who's your Finals MVP?
Um, I would take the Lakers. I'm gonna take them in 5 game. Yeah,
Lakers in five.
late
Okay.
late Lakers in 5.
Yep.
And I mean, I'd go with LeBron. I don't think there's anybody else that's gonna get MVP on the Lakers. Anthony Davis could, but I don't. He's not as big as LeBron, and I think by default LeBron just gets it if he wins.
My struggle with the Lakers is that they lost Avery Bradley, who is a rotational player. He's obviously not the star of the team, but he is a key piece, and they
He's a
replaced him
great
with J.R.
defender.
Smith.
Great
He
defender.
replaced him with J.R. Smith, who is good, but I think Avery Bradley is better under pressure, as we've seen. The iconic "What are you doing?" With LeBron and J.R. back in Cleveland. I just personally, I'd like to see. If we saw that, I think it's either a sweep or 5 games that the Lakers win it and LeBron wins the Finals MVP. I can easily see that. I don't think that Giannis can take the punishment that LeBron and Anthony Davis are both going to switch off of him defensively, and they're going to throw multiple pieces at them, and they're really just going to test the hell out of Giannis. And I don't think if you can stymie him, if you can stymie Giannis, at the end of the day, I don't think there's anybody else who's going to be able to pick up the slack um, for him.
Hmm.
So, and then for me, I'm gonna take Celtics Clippers. I'm gonna say that the Clippers beat the Celtics in 6 games. I think it'll be an insane uh, series. Excuse me, and I think that the MVP will be Kawhi Leonard.
Hmm.
Again, it could go with Paul George. I just don't see that happening. But one thing that's being talked about around here is that Isaiah Thomas could end up joining the Celtics at some point, rejoining. He's already open to the idea. He's told Danny Ainge that he's open to the idea. Uh, that would be an incredible thing for the Celtics if they were able to add him down the stretch type of player that
Yeah, I
he is
mean their bench is already pretty strong, and you add him to it. That's a pretty strong second team.
for sure.
Yeah, I don't think many teams go as deep as the Celtics do right now, and if you were to add him, makes him that much stronger.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the Celtics, the Clippers too, they're a pretty deep team. I think that's why I like the matchup because of how deep both of those teams are.
Hmm.
The Lakers are good on the surface, but depth wise, they struggle. Not and nobody can really get their own shot when LeBron and AD go to the bench, right?
Hmm.
Uh, they struggle. They either have to focus defensively or they have to focus on scoring. They can't do both at the same time. When you look at the Clippers, when you look at the Celtics, I think that there's an opportunity there for both teams to, throw a rotation in there. But the Celtics, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, Kemba Walker, that's your four, right? Those guys can all create shots for themselves, and they don't like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can go to the bench while Kemba and Gordon work together, and then you switch the two out and continuously, keep them fresh like that. That's in amazing for what you'd be able to do.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think the possibilities are endless for a lot of these teams. I think we're gonna see some combination of the four teams that we laid out. I think those are the top four teams in the league, and I think that's exactly who needs to be right there for the conference championships. And we'll see how it plays out, and I'm excited to get that underway. I don't exactly remember. Do you know when the NBA season is restarting?
It is just a couple weeks away. They will be starting in Orlando. The
The t-
NFL.
they should be.
Go ahead.
I believe it's the right around
I
the
think it's
23rd.
July 30th.
Is it the 30th? Yeah, so it's about
Yeah,
a week
so
after the
July 30th
MLB.
is the start date. The finals will end no later than October 13th. So that's
Yeah.
what we're looking at right now.
So we're gonna get baseball and basketball back almost exactly at the same time. Just a week apart.
I don't know if we ever see hockey again at this point because they said they were coming back, and then
the
that was
first,
they were
the
like, "We're coming back. See you later."
they were the first major sport to announce their return, and they're still not back.
God, at
Uh,
this point, we're better off to see professional curling come back. Um,
I've been perfectly happy with all of the UFC events going on every weekend. That's been keeping me busy.
for sure. Dana White's crushing it right now
Yeah.
with the matchups that he's putting together, and we will talk more about the UFC even when baseball and basketball come back because I think a lot of you guys like that. We get a lot of
And
talk
the
that
UFC is on the rise like tremendously right now.
well
Especially with what's going on with the cards they're putting together. There's a lot of fight nights, so people can watch for free.
well,
And,
July was it July 14th or 15th or whatever the date is. That's going to probably be one of the biggest. Or
July 11th, yeah, UFC
July
251. It's gonna be.
Well, because of where it is. It's on Fight Island.
It's on Fight Island. It's a triple header. There's 3 title fights. Plus, you've got a huge rematch in Jessica Andrade and Rose Namajunas. That's gonna be huge. You know,
Huge match.
I mean, if you don't remember, Rose Namajunas had a guillotine locked in on Jessica Andrade. Looked like it was going to be a tap out, and then Rose wouldn't break out of the hold and got thrown on her head, knocked out completely, and that's how it ended. It was absolutely incredible. One of the biggest moments of 2019 in the UFC, and we get to see the rematch of that on top of 3 title fights, plus some other fights that card's gonna run so deep. It's gonna be one for the ages, definitely.
For sure.
So lead us out, Mike.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure that you are listening to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts. We greatly appreciate all the support. We love to hear from you guys. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. We're constantly updating, and we also have our website. Make sure to check out our website. We do post blogs, and yeah, make sure you're looking at everything on the screen. And if you want to get in touch with us, it's very easy. We love talking to you guys. Make sure to talk sports with us. We'll do that day and night, probably more than you want us to, but we will. That'll do it for this week's episode. We'll catch y'all later. Take care.